So electric cars are all over the news right now thanks to their smaller carbon footprint. Or bigger. So which is it? So it seems like almost every single month there's a new EV on the market. We're talking big ones, small ones that can power an entire house, or even those that function as a mobile theater. Now, it may seem obvious, but let's actually take a look at why fossil fuel cars are bad for the environment. You see, producing fuel is a dirty process. So whenever a petrol-powered car is motoring about, it's releasing harmful greenhouse gases such as CO2. Now, scientists have said that these greenhouse gases contribute to significant climate change impact, which you may have noticed the whole world is trying to curb. Now, EVs don't produce greenhouse gases themselves, but that isn't to say they aren't concerned about its environmental impact. You see, inside every electric vehicle battery, there's a healthy mix of lithium, graphite, nickel, and cobalt. Now, these minerals need to be mined as well as transported before they go inside an electric vehicle. And that process itself also has its own issues. Extracting the lithium found in Chile, Argentina, and Bolivia causes water pollution because of how much H2O it requires. It is said that every ton of lithium needs approximately 500,000 gallons of water. Lithium mining also impacts the local ecosystem due to the amount of space required, and mining companies can clear large forests or ruin the soil in the process. And that's just the impact of getting the lithium. Fortunately, in Canada, we have relatively green sources of energy like hydro and nuclear, but other parts of the country still use coal and natural gas to generate electricity, which seems counterintuitive if it is supposed to power a zero-emissions vehicle. The upside to all of this, though, is that cleaner mining methods are constantly being investigated, with some new lithium extraction methods, including the use of geothermal reservoirs, as well as new age desalination methods involving a metal organic seawater filtration system. These will likely take time to spread, but as the world scrambles for more lithium, there's never been a better time to implement greener mining practices. Here's a little perspective. Last year, the most popular car in Canada was the plucky Toyota Corolla. Manufacturing a gas-powered car like the Corolla can emit something in the ballpark of 5.6 tons of CO2. Some sources say that producing an electric car like, say, the Tesla Model 3 makes 8.8 tons of CO2, meaning it's emitting about 50% more greenhouse gases just in the production phase compared to the traditional gas-powered car. But the story of emissions doesn't just end there. Let's go back to that Corolla and say that you drove it for about 15,000 kilometers in 1 year. All that driving would have emitted about 2.4 tons of CO2 based on its average fuel economy. Over the typical ownership period of 10 years, it would be something like 24 tons of CO2. When it comes to the EV, the only emissions to count after production revolves around its energy source. In provinces like British Columbia, Quebec, Manitoba, and Newfoundland, the main sources of energy are hydroelectric, nuclear, and renewable, which means that recharging an EV has very little impact on the environment. Other provinces like the Prairies and Maritimes use natural gas and coal-fired power plants, so powering up an electric vehicle will still have environmental impact. Going green isn't an isolated choice. It's more like a continued set of waves we need to keep pushing forwards. Now, after all of that, you might be thinking that we're just replacing fossil fuels like oil and coal with other materials like lithium that also harms the environment. However, lithium doesn't disappear when we use it, even as a battery gets old and less useful. Simply put, we can recycle old EV batteries. A Canadian company, Li-Cycle, is one of the leaders in lithium-ion battery recycling. They say that they can recover over 95% of all critical materials, with the output going directly back into battery production and basically closing the loop on this supply chain. One part of the process sees old batteries getting shredded into a black mass of materials with lithium, nickel, cobalt, graphite, copper, and aluminum. This process also outputs mixed copper, aluminum, gold, and silver, which are valuable and useful. The second part of this process takes that black mass of battery materials and processes it to separate all of those important minerals. As a result of a hydrometallurgical circuit, Li-Cycle gets many material carbonates and sulfates, including lithium, cobalt, nickel, and manganese, with enough purity to be reused again when producing batteries. Recycling doesn't always work, as we've seen in modern times, but with batteries, since it's mostly metal, it seems more promising. Alongside that, EV batteries are so big that they can be used in other non-automotive ways. To help us cope with the higher demand and dependence on electricity this EV-oriented world will bring us, experts say that we need to incorporate batteries into the grid. The ones that are no longer fit for transportation duty would be perfect. Some have already incorporated old EV batteries into wind and solar farms, while others have these old batteries set up to provide energy during an emergency or crisis. Electric vehicles have been placed on a pedestal as our top priority when combating climate change. Sure, they motor around with zero emissions, but making them, especially the batteries used in EVs, comes with serious environmental costs. Additionally, not all electric grids use clean energy. Compared to gas-powered vehicles, EVs are cleaner to drive and emit far less CO2 during their lifetime. Finally, EV batteries and materials can be recycled, so they can be used for years to come. So it's not all bad after all. Now, for the parts that we couldn't fit inside this episode, make sure you guys follow us over on our socials. Also, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel so you don't miss the next episode. My name is Tausif Hussain, and I will see you guys online. As a result of a hydrometallurgical, okay, let me redo that one. A hydrometallurgical circuit, the life cycle, I can't even keep a straight face when saying that. Hydrometallurgical circuit. As a result of a hydrometallurgical circuit, life cycle gets many material carbonates and sulfates, including lithium, cobalt, nickel, and manganese, with enough purity to be reused again when producing batteries.
Those are a lot of words, right?
Oh man, bro, so many words.
Hydrometallurgical.
Metallurgical.
Metallurgical?
Yeah. Hope I'm saying it right.